Zubi Dooby. No, that is definitely not happening. Martin Zubimendi to Manchester United. Come on. If you believe that story, then you need your head tested. I'm only joking, of course. You may want to believe it because he's a very good player. But I'm going to tell you why that is not happening. Also, more realistic targets for Ruben Amorim have been set by the owners of Manchester United. It is a full-on reality check. Of course, I'm going to cover all of the other news around Manchester United and everything else that is going on for you to keep you completely up to date with all of the news going around the football club, including Ruben Amorim telling the players that it is put up or shut up. And shut up means clear your ruck. Out the door you go. That is the message from Ruben Amorim from a report from last night's papers as well. We're going to go through all of the news. The protest dates have been set and times if you are interested in coming along to Old Trafford, even if you're not going to the game on Sunday. The 58 group have set the times and date. Obviously the date we know is Sunday, but the times and place for the protest, where it starts, where you can be involved if you want to protest against this ownership and what is going on at Manchester United right now. Welcome along to the show, everybody. Hope you're doing fantastically well. It is the 4th of March. Manchester United have a huge, humongous, massive, mammoth game this Thursday night against Real Sociedad in the Europa League. And now we look at this and we go, why is this so significant? Obviously because of what happened at weekend. It's the only chance Manchester United have got of salvaging the season. And heading into that game, stories and transfers have been floating around. Well, transfer rumours have been floating around. I think Zubimendi has already been signed by Arsenal once. I think my friend Craig over at Anfield Agenda has made a song about him. We did allude to that at the start of the show. And now United apparently are in for him as well. I'm just going to absolutely poo-poo this and stick it to the side and tell you exactly why Manchester United would not be going for Martin Zubimendi. I think it's a fabricated, made-up, complete and utter garbage bollocks transfer story. That's just my opinion on it. I'm going to tell you why, obviously. But I just feel like this story has come about because, well, of course, Manchester United are what? Yes, we are playing Real Sociedad on Thursday. And what will happen? Yes, there'll probably be conversations on the pitch and conversations and so-called made-up meetings that would have happened. And all this is tabloids making up a story before Manchester United have a double header with Real Sociedad in Europa League round of 16. In that time, there will be representatives of players in and around Manchester United and in Spain in the first leg against Sociedad. Conversations will be made. A story will be made up in the papers, tabloids and online that meetings and interest is in there with Manchester United and Sociedad and the player. Obviously because they've all come together and these possible meets could have happened. It's crap. I'm telling you right now, Manchester United will not be buying Martin Zubimendi. As much as I would love a player like that to be at our football club, I just don't ever see anything like that materialising simply because of the budget and the reality of Manchester United's situation right now. Now, of course, if Manchester United went on to win the Europa League and got themselves into Europe, then we would be looking at players like Zubimendi, probably Edison, players like that, so even Osimhen like we've talking about before. But let's be true, let's be real, and let's just call it as it is. Manchester United in current form look a million miles away from being able to win that Europa League. So let's just look at what it is. This is a story that has been, like I said, fabricated, built up, made up, because United are playing Sociedad this week. Obviously the parent club for Martin Zubimendi. United are not in for him. I'm just going to burst bubbles and tell you as it is. I'm sure most of you are intelligent enough to understand how these sort of stories move around. United right now, if you're looking at the calibre of teams that are also looking at Martin Zubimendi, it leads us into another story as well, which is that Manchester United right now, target-wise, and the reality check that I'm talking about that Ineos have given Ruben Amorim, has been one of top targets out of the window. You're not going to get your top targets. I feel players like Edison, Osimhen, Gyökeres, players like this are now off the table for Manchester United. Of course, unless the miraculous happens and Manchester United all of a sudden bring back Ahmad, bring back Martinez from these injuries before the season ends. Not happening, by the way, and that's just a little bit of an unrealistic look on things and how I feel United might actually win something this season, because it's not going to happen, I don't feel. Going off what we're playing like, of course. You never know. Anything is doable. But with United not in Europe, Ruben Amorim has also been told that his top targets are completely off the table. United apparently, according to James Ducker of The Telegraph, have also said that United have budgeted to not be in Europe at all next season. So this budget and these these calculations and everything that's going on with Manchester United keep on changing. The goalposts keep on being moved. We're going to win the league in 2028, Mission 21. We're now calculating the next 4 years in the Europa League is why we're doing these cuts. And all of these projected cuts and finances are going to fit into United being in the Europa League, not the Champions League anymore. So Mission 21 is out of the window. Now we're hearing that next season is okay to be out of Europe. We've calculated that in. Bollocks. What a load of crap. That is not real. And that, honestly, I don't think is where Manchester United are at. We need European football. We need gateway seats. We need football and competing at the highest level for this football club to run. For United to be out of Europe, not only for the second season in a row in the Champions League, which obviously cuts our funding from Adidas, but just for Manchester United to keep face, to be in Europe at all. Out of the Champions League is bad enough, but no European football. That reads no money to spend. No way to calculate and finance deals like we would want to going into this summer. And Ruben Amorim told by Ineos that all of his top targets are now off the table. There is nobody that Ruben Amorim really wants that is gettable. Obviously, we can look at Quenda. He is a different type of deal. Obviously, a young lad, not one of the, I would say, marquee type of signings. I think he is a top target for a position for Ruben Amorim. And I think he will get him. I do believe that Quenda will be a player that Manchester United managed to get over the line. But there's no guarantee that any player on the list of what Ruben Amorim wants or his top priorities are is coming into Manchester United. It changes completely with where United finishing. To be honest, where we finish in the league is irrelevant because we're not going to get into Europe through finishing in the league. But it gives us a bit more money. 3 million with every position that we actually go up in the league or finish in the league. So when you put all of that together, reality tells you that Manchester United won't spend a lot unless we sell a lot. And then we did a story last night around Anthony and how clubs are going to come in and lowball Manchester United. I think we can expect this to happen as well. It's like, great, thanks for the loan, but yeah, we're not going to give you anywhere near that amount of money that you want. I think the reality is right now that United's sacrifices are going to have to be made financially when it comes to selling players. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to bring many other players in. And it's going to be youth players coming through. I think there is a few more realities hitting home right now when it comes to the window coming up for United, because being out of Europe definitely affects Manchester United's budget. We know this. But then you're looking at what clubs are asking for these days. And it's not like we're looking to go out and spend like we did on Casemiro and Anthony right now. Even £40 million players seem like a bit of a push for Manchester United. So that brings in even your Quendas, your Dibblings, players like this, even your Liam Delaps. That type of player is all of a sudden a bit of an ask for Manchester United as well. And then you're relying on the likes of Chidowobby coming through and being part of Manchester United's team next season. Maybe you will be able to sell 3 or 4 players that give you just enough money to maybe bring in 2 or 3 half-decent players, or what would look like half-decent players on the books. And I'm saying that just in a way that, it's like, realistically, not bad players, but not marquee players. That's what I mean. I'm talking about the Delaps, the Dibblings, the Riggs, these sorts of players. There is obviously rumours of lots of players coming into Manchester United, and it all does depend on what happens this season, obviously. But just to go back to the Zubimendi one, just to chalk this off, I think it is basically just a made-up story of someone that Manchester United used to want. And I think it's been made into a story because also if you look at what the tabloids are saying and the journalists are saying right now and in the media, this is how it works. It's like, okay, United want Zubimendi, but we can't get Zubimendi. We can pass over a week of news and articles and filling columns talking about this because it's something that's actually happening right now in terms of contact between both clubs. And then we can make a story after that saying that Manchester United are not getting any of their top targets because they're so bad. And it continues and continues and continues on. And in the end, you'll get a story like there is in the Daily Mirror this morning about all of the players that Manchester United have missed out on in the past. And they're bringing up everyone from Erling Haaland to Bellingham to Cesc Fabregas, going back nearly 10 years of Manchester United and the way the club has been run. And that's how they make a story. And that's how they make it happen. That, honestly, is Manchester United right now. It's a sponge for news, and everybody's taking a little piece out of it. And I don't see United getting anyone that they really want this summer. They're going to have to be very, very creative with everything that they do in the transfer market. And I just don't think right now anybody bringing up these stories really has anything behind them. I think there is reality in Klender. I think there is reality in Osimhen in a way, but it is unrealistic because of the finances like we've just described. And then you're looking at everything else. I think Delap, Dibbling, these types of players, I think they're even a push for United. I'm going to be honest, I think they are going to be tough to get hold of because, there's not one player that isn't going to have 4 or 5 clubs after him. And it's what you can offer. And like we said last night and the day before, who is going to be attracted to Manchester United these days? You look at the players that are leaving and playing better, you're not going to be wanting to go to the football club, are you? And then it's going to just turn out to be this complete demise of your footballing career, because that's what happens to a lot of Manchester United players. There is going to have to be a complete reality check and I think a transfer check. And I just feel when you look at everything that's happening with Manchester United right now, you have to accept that we aren't the team we was. We're not the club we was. We haven't got the power that we once had. And we have to go from scratch. And I keep on saying the same thing all of the time about where United are and what we need to do. And we just need to be real with ourselves and say, look, we're not there. It's going to take 5-6 years before United are even competing again. And we're just going to build from scratch. We're going to build from the academy. We're going to bring in 3 or 4 good young players that are going to listen to a Ruben Amorim system. And we're going to go from there. We're going to be competitive again. I don't think it takes a lot for Manchester United to be competitive. Because right now we're not. We're really not. Everyone is coming and rolling Man United over right now. And that's the reality. That's what we've got to deal with. I think if we're honest and we accept where we are and we go from there, then I think we'll be all right. But ultimately, what we're looking at here is players like, again, James Scanlon and Thwaites, who scored last night for Manchester United's under-18s. I mean, James Scanlon, I think, has got actually more goals than Obi Martin in the academy this season. He's a left and right winger as well. It's players like this coming through to Manchester United that I think we're going to be looking at going forward. And that, ultimately, is where Manchester United's transfer window is. I'm going to talk a little bit more because of his stories around Angel Gomez as well flying around. But I want to get your thoughts first of all. Let's get into the comments section. I've not spoken to you yet. I hope you're all doing fantastically well. Welcome to the Members Club Angry Beaver. Interesting name. Let's get some comments flying in here, everybody, as well. Get your thoughts in on the made-up stories and what you're expecting this summer in reality. When you look at everything that's gone down, and you look at what we're probably going to finish like this season. I mean, actually, I'm just going to ask the question now. Does anybody in the chat actually feel like United could win the Europa League? I mean, everyone knows I've been as confident and as positive as I possibly could be. And I've been knocked down several times, obviously, and quite rightly, by everyone else as well. It is a harsh reality, and I'm not willing to accept it. But I feel like I'm being forced into accepting what is happening right now because I can't see anything changing. Zubimendi has a deal agreed with Arsenal, seriously? No, Zubimendi has already spoken with Arsenal, and that deal apparently is done, but it's not signing over the line yet. So again, another made-up story for that reason. We know that Zubimendi turned down Liverpool. We know that Arsenal in the January transfer window had some form of pre-negotiated contract in place. And and Arsenal have got that deal done. Obviously, nothing is finalised and finished yet, but the story is that he is all done and dusted for Arsenal. And again, it just puts this story and Manchester United being interested in it into complete perspective because we know it's unrealistic and it's just made up crap. That's what it is. But this, I think, the bigger picture in all of this is what is being said and what is being fabricated and what is being built up is just to make more stories out of Manchester United further down the line because we know we're not going to get Zubimendi. No Manchester United fan thinks that Manchester United are going to get Martin Zubimendi. He's a fantastic player, and I would love him at the football club, but he's not coming. It's as simple as that. So they're making things out of Manchester United now because they know what's coming, and they know that United are going to struggle this summer. And that, I think, is a headline on its own later down the line. Because what they will do is they'll make a story from Zubimendi. United wanted him. Another player they couldn't get. Another player Manchester United could not get their hands on. And that's what it is. It's just making stories for further down the line into the summer window. And United are the whipping boys for that. Because we're linked with bleeding everyone, aren't we? That's the problem with Manchester United. We're always linked with every player that's available under the sun, even when they're not available, which I don't think Zubimendi is. We must get Ederson with or without Europe. I don't know how, though. That's the thing, Rodresh. We're not going to get Ederson, I don't feel now. Not without European football. I'm fine with these stories. We all know what we are right now. I'm just on the line of wait and see what happens with zero expectations. It's a good way to be. It's definitely a good way to be with United right now. If Anthony is sold for 40 to 50 million, it might actually be profits in the books. It might, if we get that. But Betis have already lowball bid us. So hopefully, like we said last night, Anthony continues his form and he does add value to his price tag. And we can get decent money for him, but definitely no guarantee on that one. Honestly, right now, if you said to me that United would sell Anthony for 30 million in the summer, if he continues this form he's in right now, I'd take 30 million right now. I think cut your losses, get him gone. I think United are asking a little too much, personally, for Anthony and for what he is and what he's done. Obviously, if Anthony continues his form, you never know, but I think it is a bit of an ask, and I think they have gone a little bit heavy on that one. PC Master says, great foresight from Ineos to see United not in Europe, but poor foresight to bring in Amorim so early. Sack Ashworth in 2 months, cut and sack everything at 100 kilometres an hour. It is hard to figure out what the plan is with Ineos, isn't it? The deeper you dig into everything that's happened and what is going on, it is more and more difficult to figure out what the actual plan is. And that, I feel, is where every Man United fan is at right now. Gary says, this is what happens when you have an ownership that has no money. Really, it's all smoke and mirrors at United. Agreed. I think a lot of people are on that one. If Zubi turned down Liverpool, then United have zero hope. We need free/cheap signings and start from lower expectations. Neville White, I think you pretty much said it. I think you pretty much absolutely nailed it on the head there. I think that's where we need to be. Hate to say it, but got no chance of winning the Europa League. Squad, in all honesty, is absolute garbage, and I can't wait to see the back of several players in the summer. Too much deadwood still here. On that, yes, Ruben Amorim, moving on to the next story. Ruben Amorim has been told that he can do what is necessary at Manchester United with his squad. I think we're seeing that already in terms of what he's done with certain players that have been, let's just call them, problematic. But apparently Ruben Amorim has told, according to the Daily Mirror, again a story in there, Manchester United players that if they fall under or fall past that red line that he's got, then there is no future for them at Manchester United. I just feel like right now that red line is there, and you have got professional players staying above it. They're looking like they're professional on the surface, but deep down they really don't give a shit. That's how I look at it. And I see that in the likes of Casemiro, not in the way he's playing because he's come on and he's done a job for United. But when you're looking at Eriksen, Casemiro, you're looking at Lindelof, players like this that we know are leaving Manchester United, they're going to be professional enough to fall in line with what Ruben wants. But inside, where are their heads at? What is going on with them players? I think at the end of the day, these players know that it's all over for them at Manchester United. And past this season, they're gone. Ruben's never going to play any of them. They're never going to be in his starting 11. And going into next season with no European football, when are them players ever going to come in? Because Manchester United right now, without European football, and maybe one game midweek, one game a week, what are you looking at there? You're averaging just over a game a week, aren't you? You're not going to need all of this squad. They're not going to get used. You're going to keep using the best team that you've got. Some people have said maybe no European football is a good thing for Manchester United. But all of these players need to be out of the football club because they're just going to sit there doing absolutely nothing. So this is where you take the loss, really. You have to accept that these players just need moving on to maybe save yourself some wages. Take a low-cut price in terms of the transfer fee. I mean, Casemiro will be into year 4 of his contract. It's pretty much his last year. So he would realistically be easier to sell at a cheaper price because so much time has gone by. He's into the last year of his contract. United just take the cut down price, get 20 million for him or whatever it is, even 15 million, and his wage is gone. That's pretty much it. And you're breaking even near enough. You're breaking even, and that's what them deals are. I fully expect Manchester United to go and push out Rashford, Casemiro and Antony, and then I think it's open season for everybody else, and it's going to be really interesting to see who actually gets pushed out the door by United, because I think they will be pushed out of the door. Shaw, Lindelof, Evans, we all need replacing. There goes a fair chunk of the budget. Well, you've got Aidan Heaven in. He is in the Manchester United squad for this game against Sociedad this week. I feel like you've got Dorgu there. You'll have Leon coming in as well. So you've got cover there in the wider areas and another centre-back in. Obviously, Lindelof and Evans are both going, so you're 2 centre-backs down. You're not going to have Lisandro Martinez at the start of the season. So you've then got an ageing Harry Maguire, De Ligt, Yoro and Heaven in defence. Obviously, Mazraoui can play in there as well. I think, honestly, if we're not in Europe, don't go out and spend any money on a centre-back. I think we've got enough to manage the season. That's just if we're not in Europe. Obviously, we may have to look at it again. And let's be honest, we're not going to make Europa League. The only European football we're going to have next season, or have chance of having next season, is Champions League. Because we can only win the Europa League right now. So Thursday, Sunday football next season is gone. We know we're not going to be in the Europa League now. There's no way United can make it in. So, realistically, it's a little bit easier to handle no European football. And maybe that helps us in the transfer budget. Maybe that helps us in not needing to go out and buy a centre-back. Maybe that helps us in what we've already bought in. And then you go into everything else what Manchester United need. And Eriksen missing, Casemiro going. I think we've got enough there budget-wise with other players that we're going to sell to actually get a decent midfielder in at least. Is that decent midfielder going to come from the free market though? That's what we're talking about. Is Angel Gomez a player that you would take at United? I know I've asked this question a million times and won. I know. And it's the same answer every time with a lot of people. I think the reality is he's free. Should we just buy him? Because he's going to be cheap wages. He knows United. And United haven't got a lot of money, and it's a player that can play in a couple of midfield roles, including 8, 6 and 10. He can play all of them. He's played at international level. He's a good player. He's playing at a decent level with Lille as well. And I think a lot of United fans are looking at that and going, this is probably where Manchester United need to be in terms of their expectations going into a transfer window. Free agents, deals, cheaper deals, players that are coming to the end of their contracts. Things like this, I think, is where United are looking at going into this summer. But then you've got the counter-argument on Angel Gomez. And Ruben Amorim apparently has told Ineos to make this happen. You can see the story going across the bottom of your screen there. That Ruben wants Manchester United to make the Angel Gomez deal happen. Whether it's true or not, and whether he has said that, obviously, time will tell. There is no one really realistically looking at the likes of Angel Gomez that have come out and said, we want that player right now. Usually towards the back end of a season, you would see teams coming out and putting their stamp or claiming a player, or deals, pre-contract deals being made. Angel Gomez, I think, is a good player, and then everybody comes out and says, is he physical enough for the Premier League? Is that intensity there that Ruben Amorim wants? He wants physicality in his side, and that's a good argument. It is as to why not to get Angel Gomez. We shouldn't be going out getting free agents for the sake of being a free agent, is what I feel. And if he doesn't fit Ruben Amorim or what he wants in terms of profile of player, sadly, he's a player that we'll have to let go and not take in. And I know it makes sense because he's on a free, he's on cheap wages. Should he just come in because he'd be a good squad player anyway? I mean, is he physical enough? He doesn't look it. He's very, very small and slight into. He is. But there are plenty of players in the Premier League that look like that. It's not all about their actual physical presence and what they look like. I think there is inner strength as well. And he can bring that intensity. He is the type of player that will work hard for Ruben Amorim, but again, it all comes down to what he wants and whether he thinks he fits. It would be very handy to have someone in for free, though, of a decent level like Gomez. That's all I'm saying. And if you're losing out on Eriksen, you're losing out on Casemiro, there'll be other players leaving. If you're replacing them with alright players that aren't going to cost you any more, and going to be a load less on the wage budget, then I think we may see some action in that market. And he is one player that I think will go somewhere. I think he'll end up at a decent club, Angel Gomez. I really do. And let's be honest, like where United are at right now, is that not the level that Angel Gomez is? Mid-table Premier League? That's what we have to be real with. And when I say reality check in the transfer window, it means the type of play we're bringing in for where we're actually at in the league as well. Like, can we expect to go and get the best players? I don't think we can. I don't think the best players want to come to Manchester United because there's no future. We're talking about, Manchester United are talking, and the club have just come out through reports saying that we're planning on being in the Europa League for the next 4 seasons. You'll have top players that are saying, I don't want to be in the Europa League, I want to be in the Champions League. And that's the look that players will have looking in on Manchester United right now. The whole environment and the whole atmosphere around Manchester United has changed, and you are very wary as a player. So sometimes you might have to just take what you can and try and build with what you've got. And that, I think, is the reset that we're talking about right now. It's not going to be, boom, everyone gone, loads of great players in, let's go again. Let's get back up there next season. No, it's not going to happen. I think we have to reset our expectations. I think someone made a great comment on it a moment ago. You got Rawls in the super chat says, if I'm Amorim, I'm upset at whatever Ineos told me to get me to United immediately being a load of bollocks. You can look at it that way. I see what you're saying with that. It does look like to get him in, they have had to move mountains to get Ruben Amorim in. There's a real convincer going on to get Amorim in mid-season. And now he's been left with what he's got. I don't know what he's been promised for the summer, but I can guarantee you Ineos did not expect Manchester United to be where they are now. And I think they're telling Ruben Amorim a completely different set of circumstances and a completely different outlook on what is coming going into this summer transfer window. I really do. Please give the video a like, everybody. We're over 120. Thank you, everyone. Over 1,100 people in the room. Let's get them likes up, everyone. We have a poll running right now in the chat as well. Do you think United will buy players with the price tag of Zubimendi or Osimhen? 85% of you have said no. They're definitely not going to be buying that type of calibre of player. It's going to be less. I think some people optimistically, 15% of you there thinking that United are in the market for them types of players. I've completely lowered my expectations in terms of what I see coming into Manchester United. I just don't think we haven't got what is necessary to bring these players in. I just don't think United have got the finances, and I don't think they've got the appeal. I pretty much feel right now that Manchester United, where we're actually at, is the players like what we've mentioned already, and that's a push. Delaps, Dibblins, Riggs. I think other Premier League clubs are in for them, and they can offer more, and we're going to struggle to even bring them players in. They're going to be a big convincer, and I think United are at work now, and I do like the fact that we're working now to try and get these players in and get these deals done already, because we're going to have to be ahead of everybody, and we're going to have to be doing deals, I feel, that are different to what we've done before. It's going to have to be a complete change of tax. United Spotlight says, I'd rather get an athletic ball carrier for the central midfield 2 than Gomez. There is probably 30 central midfielders better than ours in the Prem. In every side, I'd be looking at that. That is a good point. And when you look at everything that is actually available right now in the Premier League, you have to say, like what United Spotlight said there are better players. There are better players out there in different positions across all of the Premier League. Can United lure one of them players in? Is there anyone in the Premier League right now that doesn't have high expectations in terms of their players and what's actually going on that we can probably bring in that's better than ours? I think it is just to fit the system. And you're not going to get... I don't think we're looking at first or second choice players coming in here at United right now. I feel like United, we're in a position where we have to just get players in that are going to be able to play a system. Even if they haven't got the ultimate quality, they understand what Ruben wants. I think that's where we're at. And maybe Ruben can make them players better. Maybe he can turn them into Manchester United players. I think that's my reality and what I'm looking at anyway. I'd rather David on a free instead of spending money on Delap. Jonathan David, I think, is a no-brainer, and I'll keep saying this and I'll keep saying it. A free transfer for him. Yes, his wages may be upwards, 150 to 200 grand a week, but you've got a guaranteed goal scorer who's been doing it season in, season out, and in the Champions League as well. I think that type of player is definitely someone Manchester United need to be looking at. 100% we need to be looking at players like Jonathan David right now. He is a free transfer, and I keep saying that. I know we shouldn't just rely on free transfers, but to get someone in of that quality is definitely needed right now at Manchester United, and I think it has to happen. We need solidarity and confidence at either end of the field. New goalkeeper, new centre forward would solve half the problems that aren't being caused by injury. That's true. Delap, Dibbling, Rig, Trafford, says Ramo. I could see that window happening. Definitely could. Almac says, do we have 200 million in the summer or not? Eric Ten Hag got 200 million a year. No, we don't. Because Eric Ten Hag and the Manchester United board before spent that money and put us in a worse position. We haven't got European football. We haven't got the revenues that we've had them last seasons after spending that amount of money, because we've got European football coming in this season. And I think United need to be careful. They need to be very, very careful in what they do with their money. I don't think we're going to be spending 200 million. If we can sell Rashford, we can sell Mainu, we can sell Antony, we can sell Garnacho. I know you've got to make a decision whether you want them players or not. But let's be real. They're the only way that United are going to generate any money to even think about spending around 200 million. And do you want to get rid of them players? That's the question. Antony and Rashford, obviously, it's a no-brainer. But Garnacho and Mainu are going to come into the equation. They really are. And I think everything that we're talking about now leads us down that road of, do we actually feel like they are going to get any better under Ruben Amorim than players? And if we're backing Ruben Amorim again, do we need them players in our team if we can cash in on them? It sounds horrible to say that because they're homegrown players and everybody wants them players to do well and succeed, and we all do. But I think there'll be some tricky, horrible conversations and decisions made in the summer that's going to upset a lot of United fans. I feel just brace yourself for what is coming, because I think that is going to happen. I think that is how Manchester United actually finance their window. Sadly. Hard truths, I'm afraid. We are broke and we won't be getting any funds for next season because we will definitely not win the Europa because they don't care, says Natasha. Bournemouth is a more appealing club for players than us. Yeah, you could say so. Definitely there. In terms of nostalgia and everything United is, we've always got that lure for players, and we could bring players in off that. And that is something that we've done before. But there needs to be a massive project sale for Manchester United. And while you have actually got the mess and everything going on with the ownership model, the fans getting angry, the fans turning on players, maybe the appeal of Manchester United is starting to diminish. I think that's what we've got to be honest with and look at. I feel like this is how players will be looking in at United. Andrew says, well, I wonder what we will be saying this time next season. Highly unlikely we will be challenging for anything. Will we be fighting against relegation or a comfortable mid-table spot? That's the reality of what we're at. Manchester United are not going to be in the second round of the Carabao Cup next season. We're going to be in it with all of the crap teams because of where we finished this season. This is the harsh reality. Teams that are in Europe don't play the first round of the Carabao Cup. And United have never played that. So you could look at it in one way and say, well, we've got one extra game straight away. And that is the first round of the Carabao Cup. We're actually in there with the lesser teams because of where we finished this season. I think that's a slap across the face in terms of the reality of everything as well. The 1958 group has announced the times and venue for the start of the protest this Sunday. Obviously, we know there is going to be massive protests this weekend against Arsenal. And there is possibly a walkout of the stadium as well. And there is going to be a lot of unrest and a lot of animosity and everything else that comes with what is coming this Sunday. So if you wanted to be involved, and this is what I mean, it's like imagine being a player looking at Man United. You've got you've got protests going on outside. You've got walkouts in the stadium. You've got fans turning on players. You've got United not in Europe. No big wages being offered anymore just to attract players in. What have you got? A history? You're going to Manchester United basically for the history books, aren't you? That's all you've got. That's all Manchester United have got, and the only appeal that we've actually got. So, bring the heat is basically the message from the 58 group. So, Tollgate pub at 3 p.m. The march starts at 3:15. So, bring your banners, bring your pyros, whatever it is you want to bring. Bring your voice, bring your vocals. Sadly, mine won't be very high. It starts at the tollgate, head down Tollgate Road, onto Warwick Road, then onto Sir Matt Busby Way, then onto the Trinity before heading down to the Munich Tunnel. More details released through the week. So that's come from the 58 who are organising the march and the protest. They will look to block out the South Stand Munich Tunnel. That's what happened last time. Make sure if you're going down there, if you've got any sort of breathing difficulties or have got a history of any breathing difficulties or anything like that, it gets a little bit claustrophobic, and the smoke within the Munich Tunnel, just to warn you beforehand, is very, very intense. Just prepare yourselves if you are going to be involved and go right into the mix of everything. It gets a little bit much, and it is hard in there because there's nowhere to move and there's nowhere for all of that smoke and pyros. In fact, last time it happened, there were reports that the smoke from inside the tunnel was actually coming out of the stadium through the concourse into the actual stadium. That's how intense it actually was, and fully expect it to be that way again. There are a lot of unhappy Manchester United fans around the club at the moment, and it is going to be a massive turnout. I think thousands are actually going to be on this march. So if you want to be part of it, it starts at the Tollgate pub. Be there at 3 p.m. if you want to be part of it. The march starts at 3:15, organised by the 1958 group. So make sure that you're there, fully ready to rock, but be prepared as well if you are going to be in and amongst it. Most of them fans will not be in the stadium for the start of the game because of the protest and what is actually happening. That's just usually what happens with everything around Manchester United protests and what this has gone down like before. Super chats in the house. Thank you to You Got Raws and Glenn. First of all, You Got Raws says, I have Malassi at 10 million, Dalot 30 million, Casemiro 20 million, Rashford 40, Garnacho 60, Anthony 30, Wheatley 5, Sancho 25, whatever Greenwood gets. That is 220 million. Hopefully a couple of loans, that's net positive money also. I like your thinking. I like the numbers. Reality, will it happen? We will wait and see, my friend. If we don't improve next season, I can see Real coming back in for Euro. He will be halfway through his deal, and a decision will have to be made. And that decision will be Manchester United making a fortune off Lenny Euro. And that may be the way that United have to go forward. Unfortunately, that is where United are at. We may have to sell over the next few years to actually balance books and progress and bring better players in other positions. I would not be surprised if Lenny Yoro did end up going to Real Madrid in 2 or 3 years' time. But United have positioned themselves well, and United would recoup a lot of money for Lenny Yoro, and then that would have to be invested back into the football side. Maybe that's how we move forward. We have got value in a few players in this team. Let's hope that they can carry on developing under Ruben Amorim. And worst case scenario, if they don't make it, they are sold on. Because we haven't got other players on the pitch that are helping Manchester United progress and go forward. I think that's where we're at right now. And I think everybody knows that eventually, even the players that we are looking at right now that we want to keep, will also look at it on a personal level and say, maybe I should be elsewhere. Maybe the players start pushing for moves because the standard isn't good enough at United. They want to play Champions League football. Has anybody even thought about that? We could have Kobe Mainoo and Garnacho looking at a situation where they don't feel like United is good enough for them. They feel like they should be playing Champions League football and playing in Europe. Is it going to diminish their chances of getting into the international phase of things? Players may turn on the football club, and I don't think many people have actually looked at it that way. I think we're looking at, we cannot sell these players. Do the players actually want to be here? Is a question that you have to ask yourself as well. And the answer to that is unknown. And I would not be surprised if there's players at Manchester United now that actually don't want to be here. Let's not forget, most of the players that are coming in now over the last window and this January one that's just gone are not on absolute mega bucks. They're on decent money. But they're not these players now like the Sanchos, Rashfords, Antonys, Brunos, Casemiros, Shaws, Mounts. These players that are on mega money and have really something to stay for because of the financial package. You've got players now at United like Yoro that in 2 years' time could have really developed and turned into a player that Real Madrid are offering 250 grand a week for. And then you're going to be thinking, do I stay at United? We're not going anywhere. Or do I move on to a club that's playing in the Champions League that I'm guaranteed to actually get trophies and be playing at the top level for? This is what players might actually be thinking about. And players at United right now, I think, are looking at this summer transfer window, and I actively feel like their agents are asking them the question, like, no Champions League, no Europa League football. Is this going to affect me getting into the international team because we're not playing at the highest level? Maybe we should be looking at a move. Maybe we speak to the club and get them to make the move happen. I think the players hide behind the animosity as well, and the players are not getting away with this scot-free. I think some of the players are actually making things happen within this transfer window and all of these transfer rumours. I actually do believe that the players have got a big part to play in this as well, and not everybody is looking at that in detail. I feel like the likes of Garnacho, Kobe Mainoo will be speaking to their agents. Maybe even Rasmus Højlund is speaking to his agent. Is there a better team for me right now than United? Because right here, my career is dying. And that is something that has to be thought about and something that has to be considered, I feel, in all of this. But hey, we will see when the summer comes. And I'm sure the rumours will be rife with everything going on around Manchester United. But for now, that is it, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on the morning show. Absolutely brilliant. Quickly, just before we finish there, Die Hard Red since 85, and even I wouldn't sign, says Auntie L with the super chat. Thank you, buddy. Cheers for everyone who has put a super chat in as well. If I haven't got to your message in the live chat, because there's been so many, thank you again for all of them. Make sure you put your comments in below into the comment section when the live has finished as well, everybody. If you could all just please give the video a like on the way out as well. We should get over 200. That would be absolutely epic. If you could do that, that would be brilliant. And yeah, I will be back later on this evening as well. We have got a watch along, just so you all know, here on FUTV for the Real Sociedad game on Thursday evening. We're going to do it on here again on YouTube. So yes, just let me know if you're up for that. And it's something that we can start building and doing on the channel here as well. Yeah, again, I hope to see you all there on that one. But we've got plenty of content and plenty of stories, I'm sure, to get through before we get to that point anyway. We did just pass over the 200 like mark as well. So thank you for that, everybody. I will see you all later on, and hopefully it is a positive day for Manchester United. And by the way, yes, I am at Carrington tomorrow as well. So we should be able to get a full-on update or injury update on a few players from Manchester United tomorrow, so stay tuned for that one as well. I'll be going there straight after the early morning show tomorrow. But that is it. Everything is done here. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to the mods and members, everyone helping out in the chat. I will see you all later on. Have a fantastic